What was the news on AMD? Anything fun? Morning, hoes. What's going on? Slight weakness in the market. I wouldn't call it necessarily a gap down. Like we're small gap down. But we've been trending a little bit higher throughout the pre-market. We're right in that sweet spot where we're like slightly oversold and we should bounce, but we're not oversold enough where we need to bounce, right? So that's always the difference between and the small nuances in trading. On a technical level, yes, we are oversold. But on just a psychological level and a fear level, if you're looking at the VIX or anything like that, you're not really, there's no panic in the markets just yet, right? Like you're not getting the panic. And so that's why we're getting that slow bleed in the markets. It's, we're in that new cycle where, it's like trade, tariffs, and you're slowly bleeding out the market. But that fear is not coming in where we just start to really flush and people just throw their longs out the window and they're like, all right, I give up. I'm going to wait. So that's why we're kind of just dripping lower. And when you're doing that, the market can actually stay oversold a lot longer than you would think, and so you can actually get an oversold trigger and it could stay oversold for days or even longer till you really start to get that kind of flushing action. So by no means does it feel to me like the market is like ready for some monster cock bounce, like maybe a baby one, but I don't think we're getting that big one just yet. So just be mindful of that. You got to be able to play both ways in this market. You can't have like a huge directional bias. Yes, the trend is down, and we do have short-term intraday pops, and then they kind of roll over. Don't stay in any individual stock for too long unless it just has a really deep intraday trend that you can ride. For the most part, you're going to see a lot of stocks just kind of have an ebb and flow to it. So just be mindful. In terms of the gappers today, there's only a handful that look good. And I sifted through all this junk, and really there's only a couple that are even worth trading. AMD could be something today, stock, but if it starts to make its way, you'll start to see that magnet really pull it up, and you may get a breakout later on. That 30 level is going to be really, really important. Now, this is not the market where breakouts really follow through. Besides BYND, you're not really seeing like a huge amount of action in large caps, especially large cap tech. You're still seeing it in the kind of like the small caps, but you definitely don't want to be chasing this thing up. It's just not the market for chasing. There are certain markets where, man, you can just chase anything up and, you see a little breakout and it's going to go. But in this market, like, we were watching this AVLR, right, for like a nice little breakout swing. You see how it just kind of peeked its head and then died, right? That's the kind of market we're in. People are selling strength right now. That's the nature of the downtrend. So AMD's on watch, but I wouldn't chase this thing up. It's just not the market for it. This CNC is a healthcare stock. Had some news out today. This one may have a chance to kind of bust under this pre-market low, and we may get a little action on this one. Looks okay. I've got this LK on watch. It's on day 5 of the move. Today's like a pretty decent sized gap. It's like 7-8%. I'm watching this one now for some type of overextension. If it gets into the 22s, like 22.50, maybe even 23, I might look at this for a short. At 25, this would basically be a double top. I don't know if it makes it there in a short order or not, but you start getting some extension on this thing, like that parabolic, just like where the frenzy's coming in, where it's like, this is the only stock that people want to trade. That's how it was Friday. It was the only thing moving. That's when I'll start to look at this for a potential short, but I'm not looking to long this anymore because we're on day 5 of the move, and frankly, when you're on day 5 of the move and you gap up, that's an exhaustion gap, so that's not going to be my cup of tea. I know a lot of you guys are watching this GNCA. Frankly, if you wake up early enough, a lot of these small caps are way better to hit in the pre-market. If you can hit these on all these like little flags, chasing this thing up at $12 is going to be tough. It is, it very well could break out today. The float's going to be small enough to do it. And then you do have upside because it did a reverse split. So, you can play this, but I would definitely wait for the trend to set and make sure like you have an easy way to manage your reward to risk. man, I mean, it made 100% move pre-market. So if you're coming in and trying to chase this thing up after it spikes up the first candle, you know, you miss like really a good chunk of the easy moves. So I wouldn't personally chase this thing up, but if it starts a trend and the trend sets, definitely keep it on watch. You never know. A lot of these times, these stocks just dip hard at the open and everybody takes it off their list, and then they start to round and then they go. So you'll definitely get trades in it both ways. You just have to be so careful with your entries because it can move really, really fast. I find sometimes these small caps are much easier to trade in the pre-market than in the post-market. TVIX is another one we want to keep on watch. This thing is starting to curl up. You know, we would probably see 30 bucks soon. I think that plan, oh man, if the market can actually go, this plan is going to look really well because it's got an IPO stock. It's basing out over that 40 spot. You know, we've got ourselves really like a nice RR on it. It's got tons of momentum and liquidity, which I want to see. It's just a matter of like, does this thing get dusted off like a lot of the stocks have been showing strength, or can it actually hold? SeaWorld, same thing, a high tight flag after earnings. This one's got less liquidity than planned, but still looks pretty good. I got Vive. I got an alert set on Vive. If it gets close to 156.50, I've got an alert set to play this break over 157. And then pins starting to look like a little bit of a bear flag here. I'd watch this thing. All the spikes are getting dusted on this thing. But I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing break the IPO lows at some point. That would be your third test of this thing. And we're going to get ourselves a really nice shred. And then Goose on watch for a bear flag. Same thing with Fitch. You know, we had a bear flag trigger yesterday. I think you'll get a second day play on this. You know, watch for any bounce and then a green to red. Yeti, same move. And then VMW for a second day play too. Watch for any spikes in this thing. If you get a spike into like 180 or even 178, I think that you'll be able to catch a decent short on this thing. It's got room to its 200 SMA. As always, guys, it's Monday, so let's go have a little fun. If you guys are enjoying these YouTubes and stuff, give me a thumbs up, and maybe we'll make sure to keep doing these and spread the word about our awesome community. Let's go do what we got to do. It's Monday. It's show time. It's grow time. Let's have a little fun. We got a good list going.